Hi, how you doing? This is Matthew, and in today's video, I'll guide you through resolving a potential conflict between your character animation and the control rig that comes with the third-person template. If you're not familiar, don't worry because we won't dive into complex changes to the control rig logic or C++ code. Instead, I'll show you an easy solution using our animation and character blueprints. If you're new to game development using Unreal Engine 5, you may have noticed that animations like the idle one can be affected by the character's position on the terrain's elevation. In other words, it's the foot placement functionality that we have in our default control rig that is located on the animation blueprint. Now, let's address a broken animation problem. When my character is flying, the animation looks awful. And why? Well, the control rig is still active, so disabling it, yeah, as you can see, it's normal again. So, now that we've identified the problem, the solution, it's obvious. Disable the control rig, right? Okay, no, that's it for the video. Well, I kinda like that foot IK functionality, okay? So, how do we disable it only when the character is flying? That's what we will explore in this video and make this work for multiplayer as well. Firstly, in our animation blueprints, where the control rig is set up, we'll tweak the alpha value so we can see that this value can activate or deactivate the control rig. If we set it to 0, it will disable it, and if we set this to 1, it will enable it. As we can see, it can act as a boolean as well, if you want, but I don't want, actually. I'll continue using as a flow because of flexibility, you know. I can set, if I want in future, I can set a value between 0 and 1, so yeah, that's why I'm using the float value. Well, I think it's important to say that on this should do IK trace condition, I try adding with this not jumping my not flying, but didn't work. So yeah, we're just going to solve this problem by working with this alpha value. And to do this, we have to promote this alpha into a variable. That way we can try to use or get this alpha value in other blueprints. Speaking of which, in our character blueprints, we'll cast our animation blueprints on event begin play so we can create a reference to our NBP. For this, we must drag our mesh and get a new instance, okay? Now that we've set a reference to it, we can get or set any variables that we have stored in the original NBP, okay? That's why we promoted the alpha value as a variable, okay? So we can use this alpha variable here, okay? Now, dragging this NBP reference to my flying mode logic, I can call set alpha and just set it to 0 for flying mode and 1 for walking mode. However, for multiplayer, we must do this through a custom event. So we'll create a custom event called server control rig. Let's set it to run on server and create a multicast control rig as a reliable multicast event. On server control rig, we'll call our multicast control rig, which contains the logic behind. With this set alpha value into the multicast event, we just have to drag this as an input, and we have to do this for both events actually, okay? So when we call this event, we can set the value we want, right? Now, when we set the fly or walk modes, we're calling server control rig and setting the input float value to 0 for flying or 1 for walking. So let's see. And that's it. As we can see, it's working properly. I really hope this solves your problem. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe and leave your comments below. I apologize if my English or explanation isn't clear enough. Well, I'm not a native speaker. So let me know if you want more videos in English or Portuguese. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again next time.